It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Hey there, hi there, ho there. Welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show. It's me, Douglas Coleman. How are ya? How are ya? Actually, that was Eugene Levy from SCTV doing Bobby Pittman. And he'd say, how are ya? If anybody's old enough to remember, what a great show that was. Early 80s. Came on right after SNL. Only insomniacs or people who were smoking the wacky tobacco were up that late. Everybody that came from that show ended up being a big star. John Candy, Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, Dave Thomas, Rick Moranis, Harold Ramis. A whole bunch of people came from that. Martin Short. Anyways, great show. I got the DVD collection. I'm happy. Phil Circle and Adam Flanders are here today, both musicians, singer-songwriters. Phil came to us through Music Submit, and Adam Flanders is one of our complete radio promotional package people. And we've got interviews with both of them. I'm very excited about it. I always love talking with fellow musicians. It's the one topic I can talk about where I have some idea of what it is that I'm talking about. So they will be up. We've also got our complete promo package playlist, which we do when you hear the trumpet fanfare. When you hear the trumpet fanfare, thank you. We are featuring this month Please by Last Eden, featuring Alana Solo, and then Smile by Flanders, which is Adam Flanders, who will be up in the interview part. And then Who Do You Think You Are by the Silvers. We're going to have an interview with Mick from the Silvers later on this month. Then a short commercial break, then the interviews, and then our weekly Music Submit playlist. And we've got 2 tracks to play for that. It's Up to You by Bill March and Northeast Southwest Bound by Robert Hunter. So I'm very excited to play those tracks. Lots to get to, so let's get on with the music. First up, Please by Last Eden.
Please tell me, please, how about this? Let me guess.
to rise as I wait here for you to arrive, and I waited for the sun to come into my life. That's why I love to see your smile. Love to see your smile. Love to see that long black hair and your big brown eyes. But I really love that for the longest time for my angel to be by my side, and I waited for your star to shine into my life. That's why I love to see your smile. Love to see your smile. Love to see that long black hair and your big brown eyes. But I really love that smile. She's so hot, I'm melting numb. I'm losing feeling numb. I thought that you should know. You're so hot, I'm melting numb. I've lost all feeling numb. I thought that you should know. That's why I love to see your smile. Love to see your smile. Love to see that long black hair and your big brown eyes. But I really love that smile. Yeah, love to see your smile. I really love your
watching you, all the things you do and say. You seem to have a knack of acting out this way. You need to watch yourself now, and only time will tell us who do you think you are in that fancy car you drive. And when you misbehave, do you think it makes you wise? Some people don't know how you keep your eyes closed to all you do. So now I don't know who you think you are. We have been watching you, all the things you do and say. We know it's all for show, but you think it anyway. You need to watch yourself now. Who do you think you are today? Your life is such a show now. You'll soon reap what you sow now. I don't know who you think you are. Who do you think you are when you go so far and say you like the way you are, 'cause you're special anyway? Some people don't know how you keep your eyes closed to all you do. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are?
You're listening to Mr. Smooth and Savvy right here on the Douglas Coleman Show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
The Douglas Coleman Show is now offering a complete radio promotional package for music artists. Your track will air 28 times a week for 1 month over all of our online and terrestrial platforms, as well as permanently archive on Spreaker, iTunes and many other sites. Your profile will also be featured in our featured music artists page on our website. With this package, you will also get a 15-minute interview on our show to promote your latest single, EP, LP or upcoming gig. Similar packages like this can run hundreds of dollars and often are subscription-based. Our package is a one-time fee of just $49.99. Please go to douglascolemanmusic.com/CRPP. That's douglascolemanmusic.com/CRPP for complete details. Let's work together to get your music heard.
Hi there, this is Stuart Epps, record producer. This is my story about Elton John, working with him in those early years, going back to 1967 at Dick James, all the amazing tours, those first recordings, going through to Rocket Records, and it's an amazing story about his incredible rise to stardom and my part in that. So look forward to taking you on that journey. So here we go. Yeah, and to order this great audio CD, please just email me at stuartepps@talk21.com. That's Stuart, S-T-U-A-R-T, Epps, E-P-P-S, at talk, T-A-L-K, 21 in figures.com. Stuart Epps at talk21.com. Email me and I'll give you all the details for buying this brilliant audio disc. Thank you. Bye.
DJC Music and DJC Productions are pleased to announce a brand new website. We have started a listing website for radio show hosts as well as potential show guests. This is a meeting site where hosts and guests can come together. Show hosts can list their show and types of guests they're interested in booking. Potential guests can list their talents, bio, accomplishments, or anything they feel makes them an interesting radio show guest. There are no recurrent payments, only a one-time $5 listing fee. Your listing will stay up until you decide to cancel. Previous guests of The Douglas Coleman Show are welcome to submit their guest listing free of charge. Go to radiohostsandguests.com. That's radiohostsandguests.com.
And now...
Hey, Rocky! Watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat! See? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Wrong hat.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, Phil Circle. Hi, Phil. How are you?
I'm great, Douglas. How are you today?
Doing fine, doing fine. Thank you for, let's see, I'm trying to figure out how we connected up. Was it on Music Submit?
It was, yes.
So, okay, so you came through Music Submit, and we just signed up with them like about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Well, I've just expanded on the work with my little indie label, which is something I started 25 years ago to make myself look official, and now I'm starting to bring in other artists. And when you're dealing with like a 97% rejection rate, sending stuff out for submission, Music Submit focuses it nicely, and so it's only like an 85 or 90% rejection rate,
well, which, that's worlds
if
better.
You're thick-skinned enough, and an old Irishman like myself, you can handle it, So
yeah,
but they've been quite helpful, and I always just do the same thing. I just follow up on it. And that's exactly what I have. The artists we brought on, do. We handle the upfront thing, the rejection or not. And then I forward them the email that they've been accepted, and then they do what I did and contact you guys and say, hey, thanks, for keeping me alive and working, So yeah, they've been quite. They do. I think it's maybe like a 3-person operation, and they get a lot done for very low costs. So it's. Thank you, technology, and the independent music world is continuing to change positively as a result.
Well, let's see. Can I ask how old you are?
You may, and I am 52. I'll be 53 in April.
Well, I'm older than you then. Okay, I don't feel so bad.
I won't hold it against you.
Well, not by much. I'll be 57 this year, so.
So I have a brother who's exactly your age. I'm the baby. I'm the first generation Xer, and my 5 siblings are all baby boomers.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, no, the reason I ask is because when we're speaking about music and the music industry, it has changed, obviously, as you must know, so tremendously over the last 20 years. And if I talk to somebody who's 18 or 19 years old, they have no concept of what it was like in the 70s. Zero.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll be talking about, I remember when I was in high school and we, used to send in demo cassette tapes in a, brown envelope and, and they just would, it's like the deer in the headlights. They just have no clue.
You may as well talk about riding your horse into town and, and your mother was the school marm and your dad was the sheriff. Yeah,
exactly. So anyway, all right. So that's why I asked. Because I wanted to touch on the music industry a little bit since we brought up Music Submit. How do you like it? How do you like the digital or do you want to go back to when people actually bought records?
They still buy records. Vinyl, let's see, in 2017, and I touch on this a little bit in my book. My book, The Outback Musician's Survival Guide, is more about my journey, but I have to talk about what I do so people understand what the journey has been like. So in 2016, I think vinyl record sales were as highest they've been since 1987.
Okay. Well,
and in the UK, they outstripped other physical sales. Now, that being said, streaming and downloads are still the bulk of sales, but people do still want albums, and they want vinyl more than they want a CD. So I do sell physical albums at shows. Did I like having vinyl? I still have a small collection. Yes. Did I like moving it to my new apartment? Never. Do I have a problem moving my thousands and thousands of songs now? No. I close my laptop and carry it with me. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. As far as from the standpoint of me, so in 1994, when I made my first release, an EP cassette.
Wow.
I had to make up a name for a record label so people would take me seriously. I had to make up a name for a production company because I didn't have a manager or a booking agent. And at the time, you were not taken seriously if you didn't have one of these entities dealing with you. So I did all that and to pretend that I was well represented and all this kind of stuff, and it worked for me. Now that's the norm. And what I've learned along the way is be adaptable. I'm not the middle-aged guy going, "Whoa, boy, if we could go back to wax cylinders," I don't get it. I'm more accessible than ever before. I did an interview just like this on Skype in Wales, UK, this last year. I hear from people in other places in the world like they're right here. You didn't get that before without jumping on a plane or paying a long distance bill. And now that I have this kind of access, if I use the same outlets that a major record label uses, I can get myself out there and make a tremendous living as an independent. And I'm in control of when I tour, if I tour, when I play, if I want to play. And what material I put out. So I don't have to answer to anybody. Being an entrepreneur has never been easy. It literally translates as one who is going into a venture without any guarantee of return. But as a creative person, it's so much more comfortable than somebody telling you when and where and how. So if you're willing to handle some of the trade-offs, I don't understand why somebody with life experience of our age group wouldn't be embracing this and just having a ball with it. And I say this all the time, and you get it. Oh my God, I pick up my phone. It's like, hey, it's Star Trek. I'm just waiting to tap my shoulder and say number one.
Well, it's true. No, I have this conversation with musicians all the time. And, the double-edged sword has been brought up as an analogy many times with regards to digital technology, because not only did digital technology change how music is distributed, but it also changed how music is created. And that part I have more trouble with. I love all of the music submits and all of that. Okay, that's great. But for me, I still use pad and paper and piano when I write. That hasn't changed. I do not use a computer, but a lot of people do. And in some regards, it's changed the kind of music that's out there, which, I'll be honest, I don't particularly like. I still like the guy with the acoustic guitar sitting on a stool and singing into a microphone, or a band or whatever, but it's got to be real. When I see kids paying $300 to go see a lip sync show with just a bunch of dancers and some guy with an iPad controlling the sound, I feel like it's a ripoff. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, and I'm with you. I mean, I in fact, when I teach as well as everything else, and privately, and when students come to me for songwriting coaching, I don't teach how to write a song. I walk them through the process of writing a song, because every person has their own creative approach and creative voice. But one thing I insist that they do is use a pen and paper. Most of the time, I don't get too much fighting over it. But especially when I explain it to them, though, it's that organic connection to the page.
Right.
Your handwriting is an identifier in essence. So I insist that they do that, and I don't understand people who don't. But that's all it comes down to, from my standpoint. I don't understand. You know, I remember when I was about 10 or something, sitting watching TV, and I don't know if it was Johnny Carson. That's the Tonight Show, kids, and I think it's Jimmy Fallon now. And my dad turned to me and he said, "This guy Elton John, he's actually singing." I said, "Yes, he's actually singing, because most people lip sync, so they've been doing that for a long time." And it just comes and goes. I do remember when it was less common, and when it went out, and then when it was scandalous that you did. But I think everything just goes in cycles. I too don't relate really to a lot of electronic music, but I appreciate anybody doing anything creative, and they're going to use whatever tools are available to them. Don't forget, 120 years ago, we didn't have recorded music. So it's moving at an exceptional rate, and technology, man, every like 9 months, something becomes obsolete, and these kids have got to feel incredibly overwhelmed with the rate of change, how small this massive world has become, how overwhelming the amounts of information are that come in, and I think there'll probably be plenty of the rubber band snapping back to the middle with things. I teach only adults now, but when it's only until recently, or only since recently. But I had teenage, boys coming to me for guitar, and they were wearing Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin T-shirts, and they're all about, digging in. And there's kids that go and join the jazz band at school, and they're playing Duke Ellington and Strayhorn and that kind of, or Wes Montgomery or whatever. So I think it's just expanding the possibilities. It does feel a little bit like a science fiction movie becoming real with some of the music that you hear. You're like, geez, it's the Cantina on Star Wars.
Well, I do agree with you that things are kind of coming back because, like you said, vinyl is making a big comeback, has been for the last couple of years. And the teenage boys wearing Jimi Hendrix. Then you have this band, Greta Van Fleet, who, who, I don't know where, they came out of nowhere. And it's like, people, okay, God, he sounds like Robert Plant. Well, that's good. I mean, Robert Plant said that was great. He loves the guy, Yeah. It's like, a reboot of Led Zeppelin with kind of a fresh sound and, 2019 technology. But it's the same, it's Led Zeppelin 1 modernized, if you will. And,
absolutely.
And they're doing great. I mean, they didn't they get a Grammy? I didn't watch.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't watch.
Yeah. I think they may have won a Grammy, actually. So, I mean, they're doing all right. And it is coming back. And I'm glad that it is. Because I think music needs an organic connection. If it gets too computerized, it loses the human soul factor. And it doesn't hit you in the sweet spot when you listen to it. It's just kind of like, it's like the Nintendo plunky music that goes on with Super Mario. I'm not there for the music. It doesn't do anything for me. But if I hear somebody sitting there in a stool with an acoustic guitar and singing their heart out, it moves you emotionally. And that's, I think, what music is supposed to do. The other thing you brought up that I want to bring up is you said 120 years ago there was no recorded music. There was actually a point where people would protest that. There was, it's like every generation has their, this is not what it was when I was a kid. And we can chalk that up to being old, getting older, or whatever. But when first recordings in the early 1920s, and every musician who was anybody at the time had the opportunity to record, some of them resisted it, saying, no, because if you record me, then people can copy me. The only way is to see me live. That's the only true way to experience what I can do, okay? Now, I respect that attitude, but anybody who didn't record lost out on potentially millions of dollars worth of record sales. In the 1950s, there was a show called Omnibus. Les Paul and Mary Ford came on because they were taking a lot of flack for multi-tracking. He was sort of the pioneer of multi-tracking. And people were saying, no, this is just electronic wizardry. It's not real music. And he actually set up a bunch of Vampex recorders and showed his process of how he would overdub, 10 guitar parts, and Mary would overdub 10 harmonies, and saying, no, it's all real music. It's just we put it all together on tapes and then mix it all together. And people were complaining then, that this was not pure music. So now, people my age are going, oh, this electronic crap.
Yeah.
But it's all the same thing. I really believe it, But you're right. It is coming back, and I'm glad to see that. I am glad to see that.
Well, and we'll see surprising things come of it. You consider, for instance, talking about the backlash against recorded music. There was a vinyl strike, basically, here in Chicago. As with anything Chicago, the unions were strong, and the musicians union, headed by a guy named Petrillo. We still have a band shell named after him in downtown Grant Park there. And Petrillo, he said, if you're in the union and you record, you're out of the union and you're never going to work again. So they had this big ban on recording. If that hadn't happened, guys like Muddy Waters wouldn't have been heard. Because all these blues guys, they weren't union, they were like, well, yeah, sure, I'll take $50, I got a couple tunes, let's go, And, and that guy out of East St. Louis wouldn't have, popped into Chess Records and recorded the song Maybelline and Rock and Roll Will Be Born, So there's that sort of thing, too. There's a certain amount of, if we're going to continue to survive as human beings in this incredibly fast-changing world, we have to have a certain amount of openness to what may come of it. It's like manifesting things in your life. I'm open to possibilities. I have not planned anything for the most part that's happened in my life. All I intended to do was not give up and keep working, keep doing what I love to do. As a result, if I were to go back 30 years and say, oh, I bet this will be what I'm doing when I'm 52, I would have been like, no way. But I have no complaints for it, and it all comes from being adaptable and being open to what may come of this and that, etc. They'll be good or bad either way. How do I respond to it? And as a creative person, how we respond to things has everything to do with the art that we create. And so being closed to these possibilities, I just read Pete Townshend's autobiography, and he was, way back when talking about one day they'll have digital music, and he was much more into electronic stuff than I thought. I thought it was just a fluke that he, did that thing at the beginning of Baba O'Reilly, but he was way into it, and I had no idea. And I've been a huge Who fan. I saw him 3 times, and all my life, love Townshend's songwriting. I had no idea, and obviously it didn't, keep him from being organic and authentic.
That's true. Well, we blew right through the time. Phil, thank you so much for coming on. Your book is called The Outback Musician's Survival, and
Outback Musician's Survival Guide.
Survival Guide. Okay, available on Amazon. And do you have a website you want to plug real quick?
philcirclemusic.com.
All right. Phil, thanks again for coming on. Really appreciate it. Great talking to you. We'll have you back, and then we can give you a half an hour or so. It's
wonderful. Douglas, thank you so much, man. Have a great day.
Okay, please welcome Adam Flanders. Hey, Adam, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. You were one of the first people to sign up for our complete radio promotional package that we did on Music X-Ray, yeah? I think.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, we just started that a couple of weeks ago. We've had great success with it. It's been doing well. Thank you for signing up. I appreciate it. We've been playing your song. Your song is called Smile, right?
Yep.
I think it's around 28 times a week.
Very cool.
That your track will play somewhere.
Well, it'll be the first. It's the first. You'll be the first time it's been broadcast anywhere. So outside of a few family and friends.
Oh, super. So tell us a little about your background. You, according to your bio here, it says you were a drummer, and then you decided to expand your musical capabilities. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I spent. It's funny. I had moved out here for surfing from Boston to LA back in '97, and had a buddy of mine ask me if I wanted to play the drums in a band in LA, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll try it out. And then that set off kind of it's been 20 years. 20 years of just playing in bands in and around LA, Hollywood, all the fun places. And I just kind of got to that point where it was kind of funny. I used to know how to play the guitar a little, just enough to play a couple of songs on the guitar, but I could never really finish them. So I remember one day, one of my very good buddies who was a great guitarist said, you know what, I'm not going to play with you anymore until you learn a full song. So that was the year that I think that was 4 or 5 years ago. And my wife bought me a travel guitar because we were about to take a trip. And I started really, truly learning how to play the guitar. And I ended up writing about, 10 or 12 songs and then picking 4 of them and recording them last year. So that Smile was literally the first song that I completed and recorded on my own. So I played the guitar, I played the drums, I sang. I basically did everything except for the bass.
Yeah, it's a nice song. We're very happy to play
Thank you.
it. The cover, is that your wife?
It is.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
There's actually a funny story behind that because I almost did it. My wife actually said to me one day, my ex-boyfriend used to write me songs all the time on the guitar, and I kind of got a little angry and said, well, I don't play the guitar. And so this was literally the song that I wrote for her in response to that. It was like, fine, I'm gonna write you a song. And so that's the song I kind of wrote for her. When I finally learned how to play the guitar.
Are you a full-time musician, or do you do something else?
Oh, I'm not. I work in mobile games, and I've been working in mobile games, since 2003. Since before it was a thing, and before they were actually color screen phones, I worked in mobile games, and I remember the days of people just looking at me going, what are you doing on your phone? How I look around and everyone's playing something on their iPhone, right?
Right.
So it's I do that, and I also work for a nonprofit, a charitable giving platform that helps nonprofits raise money. So I stay pretty busy outside of music. So music for me has always been a bit of a hobby, but at the same time, I've done enough with it to get into commercials and some movies and stuff like that. So it's been fun along the way, and was able to play with a lot of very, very talented people. And some of the guys that played on these songs some of them are professionals. So
when you were just being a drummer, where around in LA did you play?
We play. I've played. The Whiskey, the Roxy.
Oh, okay.
Many times. I've played the Troubadour. One of my bands opened up for Franz Ferdinand at Troubadour once to a sold out show. That was fun. I actually played in quite a few bands with a guy who used to be. He was the songwriter for a band called the Mighty Lemon Drops.
I've heard of them.
It was like 90s band, and we ended up meeting through a mutual friend and became good buddies, and we'd spend a lot of time in the studio together, just kind of writing stuff, drinking beers and writing songs, and ended up in a couple bands with him, and so yeah, it's been fun. I truly enjoy music. I just never got to the point where I was as serious enough about it that I wanted to make it my career.
You didn't want to pursue it as a career, or you just didn't feel like you were good enough, or what kept you from going full steam ahead on it?
Well, I mean, I think there will always. I am definitely one of those types of people that will never think I'm good enough, to be a professional at anything, despite people telling me that I can be, which I think is part of the reason why I keep pushing in all the aspects of life. But no, I think part of it was I did have quite a few friends that were touring at the time, and seeing the economics of it all and how it all worked, and who got what money, and how much the band was left with at the end of it, and the tours that they would go on. It's a hard lifestyle. It's not. Oh, indeed. I mean, definitely not the first one to talk about it, but when you kind of put the numbers together and you start thinking about it, young kid, you still need a place to come back to after your 6-week tour is over, and then you need a job to pay the bills, and it's a tough life, especially when you live in a place like LA where the rents aren't cheap. So I just kind of looked at it back then and said, you know what, let's keep it a hobby, but it's something I will absolutely do for the rest of my life. I absolutely love music, but I also love to travel, and I love to do a lot of other things. Like, I would say surfing is one of my absolute, my number one passion, surfing and music. And unfortunately, surfing, if I want to go on these trips to Nicaragua and the Maldives and Indonesia and stuff like that, it can get pretty expensive. So I just have conflicting passions.
You were right about the music business being, not very glamorous on the road, particularly, unless you're an established major star and they put you at the Four Seasons. Yeah, there's no 401k plan. There's no medical. There's nothing. And you're right. I've seen many bands when after they're done with their 6-week tour and they come home, and they've got $500, and they say, "Wow, it was such a great time," but how long is that going to last you? So yes, I agree with that. Some people, on the other hand, are addicted to the road. I've seen guys who they don't care if they make $50; they just have to be there, And God bless them for it. But I think I agree with you. I don't think I could ever really handle that sort of life. I think I like to be a little more comfortable.
Yeah, and it's I have a 3-year-old, and especially at this age, I don't. It'd be hard to leave him for that, those lengths of time. And I've still got some buddies that are touring right now, and but they're typically single with no kids, and if they're in established enough bands that they can, they're making decent careers out of it.
Right.
But I guess there's the other side of this where you can still be a musician and write music and then pursue things like licensing deals, and not have to go out and tour. So I've also have friends who have studios and they write for shows, or they're music editors on HBO shows and stuff like that. So I think growing up, when you think of being in a band, at least when I thought of being in a band, it's touring and being on stage and the thrill of it all, and it's you don't really see the other side of it, which is kind of the licensing piece, and you don't have to go on the road all the time. You can still write music and make a career out of it, or make some money off it without having to go sit in a van.
Well, that's true, and lug your amplifier up 4 flights of stairs or whatever. But
believe me, there were plenty of times when I was lugging my drums after a show, taking them down while everyone else was partying, and just saying to myself, "Why wasn't I just a singer?"
Yeah, or a flute player or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Could have been Jethro Tull, just this little case,
the jazz flute.
The jazz flute, yeah, exactly. Well, the one thing that the internet has done, as it's enabled people like you and other musicians that can just kind of work from home. You can set up your studio, you can get your stuff on anywhere, just right from your computer. That wasn't possible before the internet. So it's kind of opened up a whole new avenue for musicians who maybe don't want to lug their amps up 4 flights of stairs anymore. But you can just kind of do this at home and have another job. And, so it's on the one hand, it's like 1 foot in the water, but 1 foot in the boat. But on the other hand, you keep a little bit of yourself in doing what you like to do.
Absolutely. And I will admit, though, one of the things I miss dearly is playing on stage, the rush of playing on stage. And it's kind of funny, though. I remember the mornings after, I would always kind of be a little depressed. After you get ready for a big show and you see everyone there and people are having fun, and then, they wake up the next morning and kind of go, God, I wish I could do that more often.
The adrenaline high of being on stage, there's nothing quite like it. And,
absolutely.
A lot of musicians have problems that result from not being on stage. They're great when they're up there, but when they come down, like you said, you get depressed, you feel insignificant, and then, of course, there's all the illicit substances that can go around to try to make you feel undepressed. And
yeah, exactly. And those substances aren't helping you.
So anyways, well, thank you for submitting. We're just about running out of time. Give us your website, plug your website, and let people know where they can come find you. You're also on our website in the featured artist section, so people can come and find you from there. But
perfect.
Give the website out that you want people to come and see you.
Sure. I'm right now on Facebook, so it's facebook.com/Music by Flanders.
Music by Flanders. Okay. Have you got any new songs in the works? Are you working on something else now?
So I have 3 more that are done that I haven't released yet, but I'll be doing in the next month or so. And then I've got a bunch that I haven't recorded yet. So I'll keep a steady stream of them coming, probably for the foreseeable future.
Oh, well, super. All right. Well, Adam, it was great talking to you. We got to wrap it up. Best of luck. Hope things go well for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your help.
My pleasure.
Have a good day.
You're listening to Mr. Smooth and Savvy right here on the Douglas Coleman Show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Are you an independent musician? How would you like to have your songs played on hundreds of radio stations just like the one you're listening to right now? Join MusicSubmit.com and we'll promote your music to radio stations and blogs in your genre. It's free to set up your account, and we guarantee your music will be considered for airplay by radio stations worldwide. Why not sign up today? It's free. MusicSubmit.com. Radio promotion for indie musicians.
Tired of living in a culture of lies, fake news, and alternative facts? The Pro-Truth Pledge reverses the tide of lies by calling on politicians, and everyone else, to commit to truth-oriented behaviors. The pledge asks signees to commit to 12 behaviors that research in behavioral science shows lead to truthfulness, such as clarifying one's opinions and the facts, citing one's sources, and celebrating people who update their beliefs toward the truth. Private citizens who sign the pledge get the benefit of contributing to a more truth-oriented society. Public figures get more substantive rewards for signing the pledge in the form of positive media and public recognition. The pledge crowdsources the truth by asking volunteers to evaluate the statements of public figures who sign the pledge. Take the pledge, demand that your elected representatives do so, and encourage your friends to take it at protruthpledge.org.
Acclaimed author of Garden, Jane Yates brings you the first book in a new trilogy, Octopus Pirate, a story of a foundling who has unusual talents, such as the ability to communicate with octopuses. As a baby, he was washed up on an island off the Scottish mainland. An eccentric former nun who lives alone with cats brings him up. He joins a circus and narrowly escapes plots against him, flees to Cornwall, builds a replica pirate ship, that's also an airship to travel back in time to fight real pirates. Get your copy today from Amazon, only 99 cents.
can't begin to say. Overload, the truth is getting hard, I guess. Now that you're a million miles away, and I think I need a friend
Well, that's about all the time we've got for the show today. I want to thank my special guest, Phil Circle and Adam Flanders. Thank you very much, guys. Also, thank you to Last Eden, Flanders again, the Silvers, Bill March, and Robert Hunter for their music. This is Douglas Coleman saying I'll see you when I see you.
Got to breathe.